Hello, everyone. My apologies for the slight delay. I was caught in a client call, so to speak. But
Okay,
welcome to our podcast. Hi, Michelle. How are you doing?
good. How are you? Long time no speak.
Yeah, a lot has happened in the meantime. We definitely need to sync.
Of course, of course.
Um,
Thanks for inviting. So,
yeah, for sure. First of all, welcome everybody to this episode of Linking the Blocks, our ChainsAtlas podcast. I'm Jan, as always, and today we have a great guest with a lot of experience in blockchain, Web3, and lately AI. And she is a marketing expert. And we met on several big events around Asia Pacific. And it's really great to have you here and talk about AI, blockchain, the current state of things, how it evolves, how to market it, what's new, what's interesting, because you're really an expert in that field in terms of marketing it. And that's a very interesting topic to me. I've always been fascinated by AI. Now I'm as fascinated by AI plus blockchain, and obviously that's what we here at ChainsAtlas are working on to build the future infrastructure for it.
nice, nice.
Michelle, welcome.
Thank you, thank you. Hi guys, this is Michelle. As been introduced, I have been working in blockchain industry since 2016, working mostly in marketing and go-to-market strategies in general too. I've been working for 6, 7 different layer ones and layer twos, including advising. That could be more too. I also had my own marketing agency to help Web3 project to scale to, and currently with Pharos Network is a blockchain layer one for focusing in RWA and DeFi era too. So yeah, I'm happy to be here and sharing my stories. Should we begin?
Definitely. And you already start at my usual first question. I'd like to know a little bit more about your journey into blockchain, into Web3, and obviously also the AI space. So what brought you here? And what's your personal story?
Sure. I think my personal story is starting from before crypto industry actually. I was working in fintech and traditional finance in general too, as a marketing specialist or working for a PR agency that who had Citibank and Bank of America as client too. So it's an interesting story because I was working at PaySafe. They're the biggest fintech payment gateway in Europe with the product of PaySafe itself and also Skrill and the teller too. And I was doing VIP marketing at the time, and my VIP started talking about blockchain at the time, more of Bitcoin actually. So they start to ask like if I know Bitcoin, which was well known for actually like black money at the time. It's like behind the scene, people wants to pay globally. But it started to kick off and my journey is starting from I was invited to be joining this VC helping ICO fundraise. We raised our own LP of $65 million starting off and helping different ICO projects. Could be very OG coin, but at least Bitcoin, Filecoin, and etc. to then how that my journey begins actually. could be very old coin, but at least Bitcoin, Filecoin, and etc. to then how that my journey. Are you
Yeah,
there?
really interesting. Yeah, I'm there. I
Mhm.
had a little bit of a tech issue here. Sorry, I had to
Okay,
couldn't
okay.
unmute myself for some reason, but now it seems to work. Yeah, so you've been around for a while, and marketing obviously is your field. So the question is, in your experience, compared to a more traditional environment and how marketing is done there, how different is Web3? And then in addition, with the advent of AI, is there a change that happens through AI in the last few months? I mean, given the extreme, almost hyper exponential increase in capabilities of AI and usage of it, do you see a change in how marketing is conducted, how people perceive it? Is AI element of your daily life in your work?
Sure, I think yeah, so in terms of the marketing, Web3 marketing is very different to like traditional marketing because this is more of the community-driven projects compared to Web 2. Web 2, you call it customers or users, but Web 3 is more of community that you actually interact with the people that who cares on your companies or projects long-term success, and they are the contributor as well too. I think that's the biggest different aspect for the crypto or blockchain marketing. But also not to mention that a lot of people are more care of the financial gain, like finance gain of the aspect that you need to actually market that wisely too.
When
Um,
Lambo,
yeah, yeah. But I think the AI aspect of it, obviously, I'm using ChatGPT or AI tools daily. This has increased significantly in terms of the workload itself too. Obviously, from creating content to analyze research data and also a lot of different aspects of helping me to type daily activities of in terms of marketing work. So it could be from taking notes from bunch of different meetings, making a note for me, and also like when I dedicated different works to my marketing team members, it's way easier to um delegate it to different members in the team. A lot of the marketing tools also adopts AI aspect of it, that it's improving the writing, improving the distribution channels, improving the marketing itself general too. I think overall I mean, it has been super convenient for this kind of marketing activities, but also downside of it is a lot of people rely on the AI tools, and there is not much of innovation or creatives sector of the marketing itself not been improving for past year or so. I think that's how I feel. Like you see pretty like repeated content, repeated terms and words into different social media and everywhere too. And that's quite a concern for me, actually.
I find that an interesting phenomenon, and I suspect I'd obviously be wrong on this. I'm not in the labs of OpenAI and so on. But what we are seeing is, as you mentioned, there's a certain type of language that seems to be more and more dominant with the use of AI. And I feel like as AI is trained based on training data, and nowadays it actually creates a bunch of its own training data. It feels a bit like a self-fulfilling prophecy there, or a self-enforcing mechanism that, like, okay, we find more and more of the language, therefore we train our AI to speak in a certain way, and therefore we end up with very similar kind of phrasing and wording. Not sure it's what it is, but I suspect deeply that plays a role in it. But that's an interesting observation. Uh, I can say I had a similar feeling about it. And it is actually almost an effort to make AI models speak differently to it, I feel. Like if you just rely on prompting in a very simple fashion and getting a certain, expecting a certain output, it will always sound somewhat similar. I think that's a really interesting observation. Yeah. So there
Yeah,
is
for
still
sure.
a job for humans in the loop, obviously. That's good.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of unleashing something which I never really found that wording before AI era.
Yes.
And
Yes, absolutely.
everyone is using that for their PR announcement or marketing terms, breaking news or
Mm, a lot
something
of
like
bridging the
that.
gaps as well lately. I've seen a lot of
Yeah.
bridges are gapped, or gaps are bridged rather. It's
Yeah,
It's certain go-to
spectacular,
phrases
something
that
like that
definitely have
too.
become a lot more. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, so I've been asking
Um,
my content manager
mm,
to not using those wording. I know that you're using the actual ChatGPT to create content, but please avoid using those certain kind of words that AI loves it actually too.
yeah, I gave it my ChatGPT basically a system prompt to avoid using those hype words. It's not always working though. It's I think too dominant in its training data to not use it. So you sometimes have to go tell it 3, 4 times to stop doing it. Obviously, nicely, I want to survive the AI apocalypse. So there's that part. Um, cool. In that context, in a more Web3 specific view, I think one of the issues I've seen, but AI is a good example, is there's obviously you mentioned a lot is about community building, a lot of is about creating narratives, creating hype, which is needed in Web3 for obvious reasons. There has to be a community to support the token, and the token is necessary to protect your network in the case of a blockchain, or is necessary for other utilities, or it's just a meme coin. That's a different topic. But let's say a utility token. So you need more hype around it just to support the token, just to be create awareness in a community. What I've seen, especially around AI now, is that, but also in other fields, a lot of that led to situations where, even more so than in Web3, there is not really that much beyond that hype. And I feel that for a while, I think it's changing now. And that includes investors and even seasoned VCs. Looking at actual fundamentals has become very secondary in this industry. Um, that's my personal, maybe controversial opinion here and perspective. So I'd like to know first if I'm completely off in your
Mhm.
perspective. And second, if I'm not, how do you see creating a marketing campaign that creates a sustainable, um, basically perspective of for the protocol, and is not only relying on short-term hype that usually ends in a dump of the token and the protocol itself.
Sure.
But if I want to build something substantial, technologically, um, really bring value to the community, do you see a way how to still sustainably make yourself heard through all the noise? That's basically, I think, what my question boils down to.
I think, yeah, for sure. I think there is a lot of different ways. I don't think this actually different compared to Web 2. I mean, you mentioned that like Twitter X itself is it's an important channel for sure. Compared to any other industry, I think we rely on X or Discord the most. Could be similar to gaming, but it's a different way of marketing channels compared to Web 2 for sure. you mentioning that like X is dominant in terms of marketing is significant role, which I don't really agree with it because I believe that it's just pivoted into different era, which is not just followers or engagement, but so-called smart KOL ecosystem is getting more important. So whoever has the voice and has the right mind share, like so-called from the Kaito, has gained more significant gain in terms of trust and marketing weight when you do the campaign. So that has been a bit pivoted into different way. Infofy has been quite popular for the past few months as well too. So that part is obviously important too. But I think the best strategies actually coming from the product, for my opinion, and it's like regardless Web3 or Web2, if you have a market fit that actually can help and driving users basis with real world adoption, that is the most. So I often actually, because I'm in this like Twitter group of all the marketers in the Web3, and there's a lot of memes that like the founder asking marketing people to bring 1 million users within 3 months and build all the narratives and bring all these community members, etc. While the product fit is very low, like they're just copy pasting the same product over and over that already existing in the Web3 and also Web2. Like why you need to have this product in Web3 in general too. So that's something that I like to actually empathize that a lot of product has to have a market fit that people are willing to use the product and also actually happy to be in the community as well because they got benefits out of being in the community. That's the most important thing before even talking about marketing in general. Marketing itself is a channel and the campaign to drive the messages out as many as different places possible. So how you talk about your product, where you're talking about it, who you're talking about it, what activities are the marketing activities that we need to focus on. So to answer your question, how we generally like creating the hype beyond the hypes and actual users is having a good market fit product and also measuring and targeting the right people that you want to target and building the community culture within the community and also reach out to those people as many as possible places, then the marketing is quite easy. So yeah, I think that could be a good question. I mean, answer for your question. Does it make sense for you?
No, it totally makes sense. I find it
Mhm.
interesting that exactly. I think that's one of my issues with a lot of things I see popping up in Web3, particularly that product market fit doesn't seem to be. There might have been a product market fit or token market fit to a degree. There's a community that's interested in a token. There's a narrative around it, but the product market fit often gets neglected. That's exactly my observation. And like for us, for example, what we've seen over the last few months was that we had a particular use case on the Web2, rather perceived Web2 side that has been exploding in demand and interest. And suddenly we had to refocus a little bit on the product side. The Web3 product will still be the same. It will serve the Web2 product that where we see the demand right now. I don't want to bore you guys with details of this. There will be an announcement soon about it. But what that leads to often, what I see in founders and especially when it's yet another DeFi protocol that uses whatever effect for whatever gain in a highly abstract context. Um, I find a lot of founders which then find it extremely hard to tell the story of what their product, who that product serves, like the user journey, the story of the person it actually helps, right? And in the end, the product should always solve a problem, help someone. And that storytelling, which is very prevalent in Web2, I haven't seen to the same degree in Web3. And often it's more very abstract technical terms that are used, again, to create hype. I get why. And I mean, the mechanics are clear. And I'm not saying it's bad per se, but that's, I think, something that I found a lot harder to find in Web3 than in Web2. So storytelling in Web3 is, I think, where I want to get to.
Mhm.
What do you see in that context? It's still hard often to explain these topics to like users outside of the bubble, quote unquote. How do you see ways to, I mean, one, you already mentioned building a product that makes sense for somebody that's not necessarily Web3 native, but how would you attract them? Like the storytelling about your Web3 product, your Web3 AI product. Is there something
Sure,
special? Or is it just, yeah, you need to have the right product market fit, just tell the right story?
sure. I mean, yeah, I see the point because there's something that when I like has been advised in different places and also like helping in different product, I ask them to focus on the user benefits, other than what your technology is. Obviously, that actually matters too, but I mean, if you're targeting the developer, maybe using this like complicated words and terms that like only developer can understand. But if you're actually targeting the broader users or community members, or just trying to say who you are and how you're different, is focus on the beneficiary side of things. So you're integrating with something, but that's like often comes to the partners marketing too. Like when I work on partners marketing, announcing something, we announcing like we are working with the cross-chain bridge. Instead of that, you can just say that like you can now get access to 30 plus different blockchain. You can build something deploying to like Pharos Network, for example. So that's something that we can focus on. Like what are you trying to do out of this product and what is the benefit for the users are the most important messages you need to push it through. For example, like you can also translate function into like more of feelings. So like ZK proof, what ZK proof is, like no one will gonna just get it by hearing the term. But you can say that you can prove something without giving your privacy, or decentralized compute that like every AI project currently using. You can say that AI that works for you, not against you. Something like that. So there's a multiple way that you can focus on feelings while talking about the benefit side of things, I think.
Yeah, understand.
Mhm.
Along those lines, what excites you the most about actual use cases in Web3 right now? Anything you have on the radar? What's your personal alpha here?
I think my alpha here, because obviously currently I'm focused on the RWA file. I think that has been caught my eyes. So either Web2 to Web3, which is real world asset, or Web3 to Web2, which is ETFs, has been quite popular recently. And my biggest like backs are stablecoin actually, because we haven't seen growing of the stablecoin yield staking has been growing for past years as well too. And I think something stable, that something real world asset is quite trending currently. Obviously, not to mention about AI too, because the decentralized compute or DeepIn itself has been um it needs to like in terms of growing the AI industry and infrastructure itself to you need more of the data solving, and that could be my two eyes that I can focus on currently. I don't know. What about you? What are you focusing, or what is your big alpha these days too?
I think actual AI, useful AI use cases. right? We saw this AI meme hype and a lot of protocols claiming we use AI for X, Y, Z, where it didn't really make a ton of sense. But deepen for AI, I mean, you mentioned it. I think that's a huge market. In the end, it's in big parts what we are doing at ChainsAtlas as well. AI compute is really what will be the big asset or commodity in the future that will be dictating if you are capable of keeping up or not. If you don't have access to compute, you will be left behind. The other thing is data related for accountability of training data for AI. I think that's a use case that is still underestimated. General accountability of AI, understanding actions of AI better, understanding its interaction with humans better. I think those are fields that are close to my personal, that I currently see as really, really important fields because there's an actual use case and actual need for it, be it Web 2 or Web 3. I see Web 3 and blockchain as a technology used rather than just a purpose for using Web 3, right? It's more means to an end. In Web 3 itself, DAT obviously is a big thing right now. Not sure, it's not really my field, so I don't want to comment on it too much. But
Sure.
it's been a lot of hype around it lately. And I think you really need to know who's running it. You need to have a lot of insider knowledge to really trust the right horse there, or bet on the right horse there. Generally, RWA is always interesting to me. I just see all the regulatory issues that come with it, and I don't think they have been solved properly. And the worldwide and decentralized aspect of blockchain often gets lost in those regulatory constraints. So having said that, I still think it's a very important use case. I just don't think the link between Web 2 and Web 3 there is completely solved yet, to my personal satisfaction. Depending a little bit on what RWA we look at. But yeah, deepen accountability and traceability of AI, data for AI, RWA, and if you're into the more financial in industry and techniques in a DAT. I think those are the three aspects, or those are the main aspects I see right now as being interesting. But probably next week it's something completely different. I have not on my radar at all. So that's usually what's happening.
That's true.
Maybe we can go through a few of the questions that we
Sure.
have in the chat. How do you measure whether a community is truly engaged or just following the hype?
I mean, it's quite a hard question actually, because people are truly engaged because they're hyped, right? As well too. But I think in terms of it, it's like a question about whether this like you had a successful community campaigns, right? I think this is also like I want to talk about actually because I've seen this cycle and the toxic industry flow has happened for the past years too. So it's coming from you have great idea, great product that you raise some money or you raise tons of money from the VCs. And the infrastructures and all the partnership deal flow within the crypto industry is extremely high. I've seen a case of a simple analytic tool integration fees like 200K to some bigger infra integration is like $1, $2 million, $5 million easily. So you're spending a lot of your funding into just matter of to kick off your own project, then you need to actually grow the community members, whether it's fake or incentivized, if it's not organic and etc. too. Because what you need is you need to liquidate and distribute your token yourself too. And a lot of centralized exchanges matters on your social metric, on-chain metrics, how many daily user you have, how many people visiting your product. Then what do you do? Like you actually buying a lot of fake engagements from the community because it's not because that they like to play or stay in your community or use your product, but they tend to be just owning some hypes or airdrop or incentives that you're providing to the users. So I think the overall the industry has been very inefficient in the way just matter of the token hypes and the token price or it's like etc. too. So that's quite a sad part I've seen for the past years because you can't really determine whether this engagement from the communities are real or not. You may have like a Twitter space that you got with 50K people listening to you, but you can't really determine that whether they're coming from incentive programs or hyped or just being interested in your projects too. So I think that's why for my marketing campaigns these days, we are carrying on the social scores. So I don't care how many people following us. I don't care how many people liking our tweets. But if important people in terms of KOL, projects, VCs, and good kind of content has been shared within the community and within the Twitter space for our projects, that's what I care mostly these days too. So it's quite hard to say in this day, and we probably need to break this cycle as well too.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like in that context, maybe I add one question in there, because I'm genuinely curious. For us, one of the interesting situations right now we found ourselves in is that we evolved into being an AI company, AI lab first, and a Web3 company second. But both are important for each other in terms of our future vision and where we want to get to. One more on infrastructure layer, one more on the actually AI layer. Now we have released a model, basically a highly specialized adjusted LLM that is a virtual data scientist, and released it as open source. And we have quite a bit of traction on the AI side of things from people that are interested in AI. We have, I think, 3,000 downloads on Hugging Face if you take everything into account. So people that actually use that model to try it out, build something of their own. We have it ended up in a Harvard publication and on some other, we get some YouTube videos about it that just popped up. So that's interesting, but that community would usually vanish as soon as they hear Web3, blockchain, crypto. Right? That's kind of like it's really hard to bring those two worlds together from a community perspective. On the other hand, we have a really cool Web3 based product that is very helpful to run AI because it brings that accountability and traceability and visibility and transparency, particularly. So now we would like to bring both worlds together to a degree. We have to be careful there. And then we have a third community, our classic B2B enterprise clients. But that's a whole different animal again. But let's see these two worlds, the AI community, which is very technical, very tech focused, very interested in it, and the Web3 community, which is more on the Web3 side, is also interested in the token and in a project growing and in participating in it. And there's a lot of preconceptions in both directions in a way. So now we are trying to figure out a strategy to bring those two worlds together, and it's fascinating. And I I'm personally really intrigued by it, but I don't think we have a golden strategy yet that would really solve everything in that regard. So I'd love to hear your take on that. Right, you have a very substantive tech company with interest on that community, but you also have a Web3 protocol with interest on that area, and those communities are very far apart. How to bring those worlds together? And I know
You
this
mean
question
like
wasn't scripted, so forgive me
no,
for
I
really
mean,
having it.
all good, but like trying to understand like bringing the Web3 community and the developer community and B2B all together, you mean?
It's more the AI community, B2B. I mean, those are big corporates mainly that are our clients there. It's a very different story, but we have released AI models mainly to create credibility in the space. And that worked quite well. So we were trending on Hugging Face, which is basically the AI GitHub where you can download open source or open weight models with one of our models for a while, and we got quite a bit of positive feedback and built a lot of interest around it. Now, yeah, we have that Web3 community as well. So the question is how to bridge those two very different communities without alienating them.
I think that's quite a deep question that I need to work on, probably more details, I think,
Yeah.
to for
Happy to do
AI
a follow-up
community
call
in
on that.
general.
Yeah.
Sure. I think I kind of get it, like what you're trying to achieve here, that you have a actual user basis, right? That who prompt to use your product and the feedback overall is good, but how you convey them into the Web3 community is
Basically.
the marketing ways
Mm,
to
mm,
um I think because you're different as well too, like you're building a layer, that a blockchain layer that is for the developer, but also developer can utilize it, but you also need to target the community members
yeah,
for the matter of the Web3 project itself too. I
correct.
think that's why a lot of people building different incentive programs I just mentioned to you. But I want you to actually put step back and thinking what you actually wanted to do. Like what is the company goal overall that you want to actually build like technology as a service project, or you want to open source it, but you're actually building a community or user-based product also that you can encourage people to use it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I can answer that quite quickly. So the open source model is primarily to create credibility and have the AI community understand what we build is solid because we have the Web3 mark on us, kind of. So a lot of AI community, really deep tech community, would not, for that reason, take us serious. That's been appropriately identified. So that's why we made the open source offering. The Web3 product itself is an infrastructure on which you can build your AI solution, and it's decentralized, right? So that is also quite clear. That's an infrastructure layer. Our main revenue stream is our own AI-based products that then will run on that infrastructure layer eventually. That is the vision of the company.
Gotcha. I see your point. I think you can convey some messages to the users as well, that how many, like, what are the feedback you're getting? What is the actual, like, overall uses of your own, like, resources for the AI community, so you can convey the messages to the users that what you're trying to do. I think plus also it's like pre-mainnet, right? Problem. So you need to only sell the visions and messages
Yeah.
to narratives to their users technically too, actually. So yeah, but that's why it's taking an axe, right? Like you can do this incentive programs, but later on you are actually has to allocate a lot of tokens to the airdrop farmers as well too.
Mm. Yeah, it's just an interesting conundrum. Happy to discuss more in a smaller setting at some point soon. It was just the question was just, or the discussion was reminding me of that, and also that is kind of in line with the storytelling question I asked earlier, because the story for the user is very specific, but it wouldn't really involve a story about the Web3 element necessarily. That's just a piece
True,
of the
true.
technology, right? Yeah. Anyways, let's go back to the question of you guys. Thanks, Bland, for the first one. Second one from Shakibul. How do you use on-chain data like developer activity or token distribution to guide your marketing strategy?
Yeah, one thing I answer a little bit on here. So currently we are targeting the social score for in terms of the social media marketing and content. But the other on-chain metrics I'm carrying is actually how old is the wallet that connected to your protocol, and also what are the assets. So if there is like asset holding wallets, if it is more than 1K, 2K, or 10K, you can determine your users' basis whether they are actually will be contributing to your ecosystem layer on or not. Because since a lot of this like metric I just mentioned for in terms of listing and the matter of listing, there has been a lot of farming and airdrop has happened for past years. And I can't really trust on like all this full metric because obviously there's a lot of bots happening, and you can actually determine that like those wallets are actually like just like created like a day ago and they participated in some sort of quest and they just never moved, right? So this kind of thing I'm actually tracking for on-chain data.
Thanks for the answer. I hope that is helpful for you, Shakibul. And I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Forgive me if I don't. Maybe this one from Plant. In crypto, most people are currently investing in meme tokens or projects without real utility, just in the hopes of making high profits. Meanwhile, good and fundamentally strong projects aren't getting proper investment. Do you think we'll see any change to this trend in the future? Good question.
I would like to say yes, I hope so. But unfortunately, that's again like same thing that I just mentioned earlier that people here for the finance gain, right? Like why would you trade crypto over real world assets? Because there is like high return, high risk. That's why we've seen a lot of different cases, right? There is like DeFi Summer, NFT, and meme coin, and etc. too. Because obviously people are hyped on the high returns and no utility. It doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, what they're carrying is the high return. And obviously myself as well too. I was investing heavily on meme coins before, some NFT as well too. But that has been quite the love and hate relationship with crypto and the industry itself too, that you love this high return, but you always want real world adoptions and real use cases. So I think overall, a lot of bad player will be gone too with the new regulation coming in globally too. So hopefully real use cases and real utility project will be growing further.
Thanks a lot for the answer. And I can only agree with that. It's a little bit of a pet peeve of myself. I hear, especially from investor side and people that are close to investors, that there is a bit of a shift, mainly also because a lot of VC funds lost a lot of money on the narrative that worked maybe for a little while, but hasn't been working that well lately. So there's hope, but there's also what I find interesting. If you talked about the investment side, particularly, we see a lot of interest from more traditional Web2 players because our story with the product, particularly, is more aligned with what they're used to than what a lot of Web3 players would see as the regular, as their normal approach to a project, which might lead to a point where that changes over time. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm also not sure.
Let's see.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, I think eventually it has to, because in the end, every business is about bringing value and creating value for the company, making money in the end. So those things might be good for a while in moving money around, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, there are still casinos, so what I said might not be true. Bin Suleiman, what marketing strategies have proven most effective for driving blockchain adoption? I think we touched on it before already, but maybe you want to give your top 3 strategies.
Yeah, I think the product market fit matters, and the narrative and content matters too. You can always buy the hype through the KOL marketing or incentive marketing in general too, but what actually matters the best is if you have the story that compelling to the users, and actually the product market that is beating and actually can deliver. And third part, I'd like to say that if you are actually a builder too, like ChainsAtlas too, and a lot of good players in this market has to win, right? I've seen that you may gain a short-term hypes, and but the sustainable ecosystem or long-term successful coming from the builder actually working hard building whatever they're promising to the users or the world too. So those 3 things I could say that are the most important thing.
Okay, maybe we can do one more, and then we're also closing on the hour mark.
Sure.
Oh, that's an interesting one. What's one marketing tactic you once believed in, but now no doesn't work anymore? So basically a shift in the market in that sense, or any true fails you learn more from than your successes, something that didn't work.
Sure. I think Farcaster was pretty popular during the NFT and the artist like era that we had 2, 3 years ago. But I don't really see that people are using the social network or forecast anymore. That's something I could say. But in terms of that I tried hard but didn't work out was mm, let's say, I think SEO marketing actually, because in the traditional world and traditional marketing, I was doing a lot of efforts into the SEO marketing. You create a bunch of different article with the keywords that you want to include it and feature it. But in the crypto industry, it's quite hard to gain that high rank SEO unless you're spending thousands of $1,000. For example, like you can't win over CoinMarketCap or Binance or like centralized exchanges because they are dominating in terms of the traffics and also keywords and content itself too. And with the AI evolved too, the SEO marketing has to be more competitive too because anyone can really write the SEO friendly article through the AI too. So that's something that doesn't work anymore, I think.
Okay. I hope that answers your question, Shakibul again. I think with this we have a nice closing. Most of the other questions are around similar topics as we discussed prior. But obviously, if there's anything, feel free to pose more questions in on Telegram, and we'll try to find the time to answer them. Thanks a lot,
Yeah.
Michelle. Thanks for your time, and hope to see you again soon, probably on one of the next conferences. And yeah, let's catch up on the topic from earlier. Would really love to hear more of your input. Thanks a lot.
Lovely. Thanks,
We'll
guys. Have a
we'll
good
have the
day.
next episode. You too. We'll have the next episode in 2 weeks. Same day, probably this time. A little bit later than we did before, because that fits a little bit better in all our schedules. But sometime we'll let you all know in no time. Thanks a lot for tuning in. And this, as always, will be found on YouTube in a couple days. And until then, I wish you a wonderful time and see you back in 2 weeks.